So bowling nationals is hard. There is no way around that. The lanes are never going to be easy. My goal for this video is to help you feel confident when you get to the Open Championships. If you guys like this video and you're liking this content that I'm bringing to you guys, I would super appreciate it if you hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date every time I drop a new video. And then down below in the description, I have a link to my Patreon, and I invite each and every single one of you guys to come out and join. So it's also no secret that the USBC is incredibly secretive with what the pattern is, and they don't release it till the end of the tournament. On today's video, we're gonna be bowling on the 2019 team pattern, which, as I have it here, is 38 feet in length, 27.5 mils, and has a ratio of 1.9 to 1.3. So that's no guarantee that that's what we're gonna be bowling on in 2020, but I went ahead and looked at the last 5 years of the patterns for the team, the oil pattern for the team, and 2019, 38 feet, 27.5 mils, 1.9 to 1.3 ratio. 2018, also 38 feet, 28.4 mils, 1.9 to 1.3 ratio. 2017, 38 feet, 29.4 mils, 1.7 to 1.2 ratio. 2016, 38 feet, 26.7 mils, 1.7 to 1.3 ratio. 2015, 38 feet, 26.9 mils, 1.6 to 1.23 ratio. So that tells me that for the 2021 pattern, because in 2020 there was no tournament, so that tells me that this year for the 2021, it's gonna be 38 feet, or if not, really close to 38 feet. The mils are gonna be really in between that 26 to 27 range, and then the ratio, the pattern's gonna be flat. There's no way around that. So in this video, I'm gonna show you guys how we're gonna break them down and then what balls I brought for this session. So because I know the pattern that we're bowling on, the 6 balls that I brought with me was a purple tank at a 500 grit, a desert tank at a 1000 grit, a Trident Horizon at 500, and that's gonna be the ball that I'm gonna use to break down the pattern with in practice. I brought a Jackal Legacy at a 1000 grit. Then I brought an Octane Carbon at 4000, which is historically one of the balls that I love getting into late in the team event, late in singles and doubles. And then I brought the trusty old Venom Shock at a 2000 grit finish. So the goal in practice is to develop some sort of track to the outside, because the pattern is so flat, there isn't going to be a huge hook spot to the right. There's going to be a really big out of bounds. So we want to break it down to create as much hook to the right as possible. So another really big thing is that historically there's 2 teams per pair at the Open Championships. But this year, because of the COVID-19 protocols, they're only going to have 1 team per pair at the team event. So instead of having 10 bowlers on the pair, you're only going to have 5 bowlers on the pair. Now that can be a good thing and a bad thing. It can be a bad thing because you don't have enough people to break down the pattern, but it can also be a really good thing because you can break down the pattern correctly with the game plan that your team has. So on today's video, we're gonna be focusing on the team pattern, but another really big thing at this year's Open Championships is that the singles and doubles is being bowled in the bowling center at South Point, where I normally shoot my reviews. There's a lot of friction down there. So the 2 centers are gonna play completely different, and that's a really big thing to keep in mind. I'm gonna take you guys out on the lanes now for a quick montage of us warming up. I'm gonna do exactly what we're gonna do at Nationals, which is we're gonna have 10 minutes of practice. I'm not gonna show you guys all 10 minutes, but I'm just gonna show you guys a couple clips from the practice. And the goal is because I'm here filming with Brian, I forgot to mention that, hi Brian. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna play the outside part of the lane with a lot of surface until we feel that we have broken it down enough that we can bump it off it a little bit. Sorry that this intro has been so long. There's just so much information I want to give you guys. Historically, or not historically, but over the last couple of years, the team pattern specifically has been a urethane fest amongst a lot of the really high scores, at least for game 1, which is why I brought my purple tank and which is why I brought my desert tank. So just taking a look at Brian's first shot, I told him that his angles were a little bit too steep. The pattern is still really underdeveloped to create those kind of angles, especially because it's just us. So for me, I really want to make sure that I'm not missing left like I did with this last shot with the purple. So you're standing at 15, trying to keep the ball nice and in front of me and see if this is going to be the option for me. Yeah, I think that looks really good. I just really got to make sure that my speed is where it needs to be. So we're going to keep trying that. I did start this video by saying this pattern was not easy. So I just got to be a little firm and hit my mark. No, missed left. So I missed left a little bit there, and it's hooking less, which is a good. All right, so this is going to be my final warm-up shot here. I'm going to stick in the purple tank because the reactive stuff was hooking way too much in the back part of the lane. Yeah, I think that's going to be it right there. So now I'm going to turn the mic off, and we're actually going to bowl an entire game. And then I'll check back in after the first game, tell you guys what we shot, what we're seeing, and so on and so forth.
Good shot. Good shot.
So that's the end of game number one. For me, the purple tank looked really, really good. And one of the things I was telling Brian was, at the Open Championships, especially game one, I'm not trying to shoot 250, 260 game one. I'm just trying to bail out a nice, decent game, kind of like I did right now, keep it safe, and make sure that the pattern gets developed enough so that I can shoot bigger scores later. For Brian, all the balls that he threw at the beginning, he couldn't really get them to slow down enough when he was left, and then when he got right, he couldn't get them to pick up early enough. So for him, he definitely needed a little bit more surface. His Venom Shock, however, from a little straighter, looked really, really good. I told him to pretend that his Venom Shock was a urethane ball and have that urethane mentality where he's just trying to keep it in front of him, nice and up the back, and then he doubled in the 10th, which both of those shots look really, really good. So now going into game two, if we were actually bowling for score, I would probably still be in my purple tank just because of how good it looked. But for the sake of this video, I'm actually gonna move left a little bit and get into my desert tank. Now, for me, I like keeping my angles a little bit more shallow, which is why you're seeing, for me, the purple tank and now the desert tank. But I will get into reactive as we, maybe at the end of game two, for sure into game three.
That's a good shot. Wow.
That might get there. See, that won't work. Oh, it did! Hey, you're on camera. You better wave. Hey, Vince, you better wave. Yeah. No, because I don't want to be that guy. I want to be part of the solution, not the problem. Absolutely not. I don't want to be part of the problem. I want to be part of the solution. You are part of the problem. Right? All right. So getting into game 2, I went from the purple tank into the desert tank, and I wholeheartedly believe that was absolutely the right move. Still keeping it super safe by keeping the ball in front of me, not taking any big chances. Finished that game for 237. I did flag a 10-pin. I don't have my spare ball, no excuses. I should still be picking them up. Brian, he just doesn't have it. And for him, I think it's a surface issue. I think he needed a little bit more surface to start and still be in some surface, because my desert tank was a brand new 1000 pad on it. So I'm still keeping it in front of me. So now getting into game 3, I'm gonna start in the Venom Shock for about 4 or 5 frames, and then I'm gonna get into the carbon. The lanes aren't developed enough for me to get into the carbon. I don't even know if they're developed enough for me to get into the shock. But like I said earlier, for the sake of the video, that's exactly what we're gonna do. I hope you guys are enjoying this content so far.
That's a good shot. Go. Hey. Oh.
So there we have it. That was 3 games on the 2019 Open Championships team pattern. All in all, I had a pretty good look. I ended up shooting 625 without my spare ball, so that's a pretty good thing. I think in that last game, if we were bowling for score, I would have stayed in the desert tank. The Venom Shock looked a little squirrely that first half of the game. The Octane Carbon, I think, looked pretty good towards the end. All in all, I think I learned a whole lot about this pattern and about my game. Now I'm gonna take you guys onto lane 1, which you've noticed has been on the entire time, but not a single shot has been thrown on it. And that is for a reason. In practice, we broke down the pair like we wanted to, meaning I didn't throw a single shot left of 5 in practice at all before I got into my urethane ball. Now we're gonna move the camera behind lane 1, and I'm gonna throw a shot without trying to break it down so that you guys can see how important it is to break down the pair correctly. Until next time.